loves to call it. Let's go to number 10. The Miami Dolphins. Now,
Slander.
I like it.
Complete slander.
This is a good spot for them. They were number 19 last week. They're now 3-0, one of only three 3-0 teams, in the NFL right now. Definitely the biggest surprise of the NFL season so far through 3 weeks.
I think that's fair. I do not think they're going to be 3-0. The schedule hasn't been that daunting, but they're 3-0. Only 3 teams can say that. I think they should be in the top 5. And again, this is where I mentioned there are a lot of differing opinions on this Dolphins team right now, at least in terms of the Chat Sports staff voters. I had the Dolphins at 5. James had them at 3. You had them at 12. Producer Lena had them all the way down at 17. Y'all slandering Miami. Keep doing it. As someone who slandered Miami before the year, I can admit when they should at least be a top 5 team.
I will never put another AFC East team over the Patriots until they actually beat them. I do not care what their record is. I do not care. We've seen so many random uppity teams in the AFC East through the first couple weeks, and they go into Foxborough and they get plastered. Happens every single year. Happened to the Jets last year. Happened to the Bills the year before. Happened to the Dolphins the year before that. This is a yearly thing.
I really want to see Miami beat the Patriots.
Oh, if they do,
just for you to have a meltdown. Because you will start freaking out.
If they lose to the Dolphins
Everyone
in Foxborough,
cheer for the Dolphins this week.
Like if they lose to the Dolphins in Miami, which they seem to do every single year, whatever. But the last time the Dolphins beat the Patriots in Foxborough, it hasn't happened in a long time.
What's more crushing for you, a loss to the Lions or the Dolphins?
Oh, the Dolphins. The loss on the road to an out-of-conference football team does not matter.
Everybody type Dolphins in the chat to trigger Harris.
If they lose a divisional game at home, then I'll start freaking out. But an out-of-conference game on the road, it means nothing.
I think you're a little too low on the Dolphins. Like, I don't believe in them long term, but again, I value the resumes. And 3-0
I had them at 12. I had them at 12. I'm still up on them. They played really well. And most of all, I am happy with how well Ryan Tannehill has played so far this season. I have been impressed by his poise and I guess just rebound from last year.
Only request, Miami. Can you feed Kenyon Drake a little bit more for my fantasy team? Because I kind of need him right now. Can you do that for me, Adam Gase?
Only 104 yards on the ground this year for Kenyon Drake.
He's so close to busting a bunch of big runs. It's going to happen.
So we talked about their matchup coming up this weekend. Got the Patriots at number 9. Sitting at 1-2. Tom, I'm not worried yet. I'm just not. They get Josh Gordon back this week. They get Julian Edelman back in week 4. I think the biggest issue, this hasn't gotten any news at all. Patriots actually just lost their top inside linebacker in Juwan Bentley to IR this week. And Rex Burkhead. So now they come into this week, 1-2, lost to the Lions, finally get a home game, haven't played at home since week 1 when they got their first win. From a non-Patriots fan, do you think it's over? Like where are you at? Like it just seems that everyone's kind of in the same place.
It's not over, but like you should be a little bit worried. Like I know that you don't think early season football matters, but it does.
It doesn't for the Patriots.
But that's such BS. That's such an elitist comment.
They've been 2-2 two times the past 4 seasons and it made the AFC Championship game at records of 13-3 and 12-4.
And then but then it's not going to happen that one
year.
And
they made the Super Bowl last year after being 2-2
That's the complacency setting in every single year. And then going, oh wait, we need to actually focus and do stuff here. So I would be a little bit more worried about the Patriots if I were you, because you lost to the Lions.
That
was a bad loss.
It was a bad loss.
I didn't panic after Jacksonville. Now I'm at least a little bit concerned.
I'd be more concerned if the Lions came into Foxborough and beat them, like the Panthers did last year, like the Texans almost did last year as well, like the Chiefs did last year as well. But again, it's an out-of-conference road game, which just, at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. Those games, in terms of tiebreakers, are the lowest possible thing you can have for tiebreakers. If they ended up losing, if they lose to Miami at home this week, I'll start flipping out. But again, an out-of-conference game to the Detroit Lions in week 3. Like we're going to look back at this game in week 13 if the team is 10-3, and we're just going to laugh. It's just how this team has been for 2 decades now. They've always been slow in September.
I mean, you can play that same game, but like go back to the Ravens, for example. All they had to do was beat the Bengals. Maybe they should have beat Oakland instead of losing by 1 point in early October.
Maybe so.
I think that you're so caught up in we're going to win 12 games anyway. It doesn't matter. That could matter, though. That could be the difference between getting the number 2 seed and the 3 seed. And having home field advantage.
I think home field advantage is important, but I've also seen that, like with this Patriots team, they could end up winning 9 games and still win the division. I think this is going to be like a lower tier regular season Patriots team, but once the playoffs come around, I'm still not worried.
I would be a little bit concerned, man.
I will be concerned if they lose to the Dolphins.
A good linebacker, you lost Burkhead. Brady hasn't actually looked very good this year.
But he also has nowhere to throw.
Maybe he's old now. Maybe it clicked for him.
Oh, maybe he finally hit the cliff.
It happens. The cliff happens. Ask Peyton Manning.
No cliff. We'll see what happens after he gets Julian Edelman back after the end of this week.
Let's
recap our NFL power rankings. Got the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Texans, and the Bills 32-29. The 49ers, the Jets, the Colts, and the Giants.
I'm sorry, Niners fans. I do feel bad that you've lost Jimmy G, but your season's over.
Yeah. Cowboys, Seahawks, Lions, and the Browns jumping up to 21.
I saw so many negative comments about the Cowboys in the comments section. Everyone hates Garrett and Linehan, and I don't blame them.
They've been awful. The Redskins, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Bears as we jump into the teens here. Broncos, Ravens, Falcons, and the Bengals, top half of the NFL.
Some possible playoff teams here.
Yeah.
Too. Obviously, not every team on there is going to make it because I don't think you'll see those three teams come out of the AFC somehow, but this is kind of more of the playoff threat area.
And then the Packers, the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Patriots.
Everyone has slandered the Dolphins. Give them some respect.
I feel like we're just on a repeat from last year because I remember when we did power rankings last year and the Patriots lost to the Panthers. Everyone dropped them out of the top 10, and I'm just sitting here like, relax, they'll be fine. If you think the Patriots are actually bad and you think the Dolphins are going to win the division, you can actually get some pretty fantastic odds on it right now. Head to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. I will not be putting money down on the Dolphins because the Patriots are still going to win the division.
The Patriots were super high favorites. They were. I didn't even bother betting on them. I did bet on other stuff though. Again, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120. You won't beat that deal anywhere else. Put down $100. They'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with. You're playing with house money with this deal on BetDSI.
All right, Tom, let's go to number 8. People have been freaking out more about the Patriots losing to the Lions than the Vikings have losing to the Bills. How is this not the number one headline in football?
Because I think the Patriots was more of a freak out. The Vikings was just more stunned shock.
Why can't it be both?
It can be both. I am just so.
What happened?
I honestly, I think Minnesota just looked ahead.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? We got the Rams next week. This Bills team is trash. Let's focus on them. And they paid the price. I think that's what happened.
I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
How much do you think this Everson Griffin situation is a distraction for the team? If you guys don't know about this situation, it is wild. There's a report that he might have tried, there was a false report initially that he tried to break into a teammate's house. He's going on with mental health issues. He apparently threatened to shoot somebody. Like, he's in a bad place right now.
It's definitely a distraction, and I think that's up to the coaching staff to
probably the best player on their defense.
To get it's Harrison Smith. To get the rest of the team focused on the game, because it can be a distraction because your friend's in trouble. And that's unfortunate for Griffin. Obviously, it sucks for the team. I hope he gets okay. Hope he gets the help that he needs. But if you're Minnesota, as bad as it is to say out loud, you have to you have to ignore it. You have to focus on other things. You have to focus on football. Otherwise, it's going to seep into your play. And maybe that did happen against the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I totally agree with you that they just kind of looked ahead.
In the end, I still trust this Minnesota team.
Yeah, I do.
I think they're going to be okay.
And again, they were without Dalvin Cook also.
I think
he's going to return this week against the Rams. So
it was a fluke.
Well, tonight, I should say, against the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Let's go to number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They did lose to the Steelers, though. Again, they did look quite good against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Probably their biggest test so far. Kept it close. Ended up losing 30-27.
This is the start of the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle. You saw it happen. Wasn't as good this week.
He was great in the second half.
Now he's the starter again for Week 4, and all likelihood, even though the Bucs won't announce it for competitive advantage and whatnot. This is the start. This is where the cycle turns, Harris. Then he looks bad. Then they go back to Winston. And maybe Winston doesn't look good, and they want to go back to Fitzpatrick. It's the circle of Fitzpatrick.
I don't think the Fitzpatrick cycle applies as much here, because this is definitely, in terms of weapons that he has,
it's fair.
Probably the best weapons that he's ever had in his career, and that's a long NFL career.
Fair.
He's looked quite good, and he did end up coming back in that game. They were great. He was great in the second half.
The interceptions still count, even though they weren't all his fault. They still count.
Well, on the other side of the ball, though, what have you seen out of their defense so far this year?
Been good enough, I guess is the way to put it. I think that there are some good pieces there. They haven't quite put it together. They've won games because Fitzpatrick has put up so many big numbers to the point that it's still kind of surprising to see. And the Bucs kind of fall into that, okay, well, should they be behind the Eagles, ahead of the Eagles? Eagles have Carson Wentz back now. Where do the Eagles go? Should they be ahead of the Steelers because the Bucs have the better record, but they lost to the Steelers? So welcome to the weird part of the NFL power ranking season where they should be top 10, but where exactly do they go?
It's fair.
It's just
they go number 7, right in the middle. All right, let's go to number 6. You know what, Tom? I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, because I have a point to make. I think the entire NFL world, we've officially crossed the boundary. Cam Newton is now officially underrated. It is remarkable to me. Remarkable to me the little amount of press that Cam Newton now gets. I understand that he didn't put up MVP numbers again last year. I get it. But he has been great this year so far. He's not turning the ball over. The run game has been fantastic. He's hitting people down the field without Greg Olsen. He has been great so far this year. Not to mention also for fantasy purposes, he's basically winning me my league so far. How did we get to a place where a guy who won the MVP is now officially underrated? He is completely underrated. I don't know why he's not getting MVP talk right now. He's been great.
It's early in the year, and Fitzpatrick well, because Patrick Mahomes exists.
Yeah,
that's why he's not getting MVP talk, because Mahomes is putting up unreal numbers.
Because we're so used to seeing like the same old Cam Newton. That he's bad completion percentage, going to throw a lot of picks. So he's completing 67% of his passes this year. He's thrown 1 interception all year, leading the entire team in rushing touchdowns. He has 8 total on the season between rushing and passing. He's been electric.
I want to give Norv Turner credit. I was very concerned about this coaching staff. The offensive line was banged up. I sold hard on Carolina through 3 weeks. I regret that because they looked pretty darn good. Norv Turner didn't make Cam Newton into a pure pocket passer. He helped him into more of a, you're still going to run, but he's helped his accuracy a little bit. Now, he still has the Cam Newton overthrows and whatnot. That's okay. That's who Cam Newton is. It's okay because he's such a good runner and so dynamic on that end. So I like a lot of what I've seen from Cam Newton, and I want to give Norv Turner some credit because I ripped on him before the year. Through 3 games, I've been very impressed.
Cam Newton officially underrated. He's not underrated, though, on FanDuel, but you should definitely pick him next week because FanDuel is on a bye this week.
Newton's on bye.
Head to FanDuel.com/chatsports. Get $20 free with your first deposit. It's a good deal right there. That's a stupid good deal.
By the way, if you guys think you know more than me, and I welcome any and all challengers, DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I'm hosting a FanDuel game this week. The winner will take home some money. How about that? That sound fun to everyone?
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney.
All right, Tom, let's get into the top 5 here. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5. Coming off a nice baseball game against the Tennessee Titans, losing 9-6.
They should be behind the Titans.
Oh, God, here we go.
They should be behind the
Titans.
Titans.
Do you really think the Titans are better?
They beat them.
So?
They beat them. They have the same record and they beat them. If we're talking about like a 10-6 team that lost to a 5-11 team, that's different. Same record. Titans beat them. Was it ugly? Absolutely. The Titans won that game with a broken Marcus at quarterback. He was broken in that game.
Yeah, he was broken.
He could barely throw, and they still won. This is why I don't trust Blake Bortles.
Well, yeah, you should never trust Blake Bortles, but the Jacksonville defense has also been fantastic.
I had them at number 9.
The Jacksonville defense has yet to give up 20 points in a game yet this year. And again, it is only week 3, and again, I've been consistent. September football doesn't matter. But the Jaguars I think they've looked good. I know they had a bad loss to the Titans, and the worst part about that is that, divisional game also on the road. Now, if that game was at home, a little bit more of an issue, but it's just, you can't lose those divisional games, especially if you're a Jacksonville team in a competitive division.
I think Jacksonville's going to be a good football team. I think they'll make the playoffs, maybe even win the AFC South. But I still think that resume matters, even after only 3 weeks. Y'all slandered Tennessee. I was high on them. No one else was. Jacksonville's definitely a top 10 team. I actually had them at 9, which actually where you had them.
Yeah, I had them as well, because, number 5 is a little bit high.
High as 4.
It's a little bit high for me. Speaking
fours.
of number 4, let's go to number 4. Actually, the Saints aren't at number 4. What's at number 4 right now is the Drew Brees spin move to help tie the game right before overtime. So it's best play of the week.
We mentioned this at the top. The bottom 3 teams were very easy.
Yep.
The top 2 teams were very easy. Everything else was like, what do you do right now?
What do you do?
I don't... I put the Saints at 3, and I'm like, they should not be number 3, but I have no idea who else to put in that spot. I have absolutely no idea.
Eagles.
Is it the Eagles? Maybe you can argue for the Eagles.
I just think
the Bucs.
I just have a really difficult time. Look, the Saints' point differential right now is 1. Exactly 1. They've scored 104 points this year. They have allowed 103 points, which...
That's not good.
No, it's not good, Tom. In fact,
point differential matters in the NFL.
It's actually so bad, it's the most points given up of any team in the NFL right now.
I don't know what happened to the Saints' defense. My concern...
I do. They got cocky.
But that shouldn't explain that much of a difference. It really should. It shouldn't be a 20-point swing.
Or last year was a fluke.
Now that's more like it. Now, I was worried about that because I'm like, the Saints defense overachieved last year. You and I agreed on that. I think
absolutely.
Even the Saints front office thought that because they went out and they drafted an edge rusher. They signed a linebacker. They signed a corner and a safety. Now, Patrick Robinson is out for the year with an injury.
That sucks.
That's a big loss there. But if you're the Saints, you're like, oh, God, it's the past couple years all over again. Our offense is awesome, and our defense can't stop anyone. We got to outscore every team that we play. That's my fear right now for the Saints. Although we saw it last year, too. They did start slow. So hopefully they get things going because I like this Saints team. I'm worried about them in that defense. Defense matters.
A defense you probably shouldn't be worried about is the Philadelphia Eagles. They come in at number 3. Their defense has been stupid good so far this year. They've really been balling
They
out.
went up for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I think there was some Carson Wentz return bump action going on here in the Chat Sports AP-style voting. And the other one, I think, was that all the teams ahead of them all lost games. I think that was the issue.
Kind of an issue. It's kind of a problem. I like what this Eagles team is doing. I like what they're doing on defense. The offense isn't going to be healthy until midseason anyway, so you can't really make any, outrageous assumptions about it quite yet. But look, Carson Wentz comes back, looks like a guy who hasn't played football in a year. In the rain, but they won, and that's kind of what's most important at the end of the day. Jeffrey's still out, everyone's injured. Jordan Matthews, we were joking about before, he comes back, instantly injures his hamstring.
He has a hamstring injury again.
It's ridiculous. But
so I think the Eagles are a top
worried.
5 team. Maybe they're getting some Super Bowl bump there, and they didn't look that good against the Colts. Frankly, they've been mostly close games. I had them a little bit lower than everyone else, but somebody had to be 3, and frankly, it's number 1, number 2, 3 through 15?
Yep.
Almost take your pick at that point.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mess because there have been so many upsets early this season.
The Eagles take on the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee this upcoming weekend. It'll be nice to see Marcus, going to get it right, Mariota versus Carson Wentz. How'd I do?
It's fine.
Yes. Let's go to number 2. Guys,
Lane is giving you the stink eye.
a guy's name that I don't think anyone is going to have difficulty pronouncing ever. Patrick Mahomes.
Goat.
Best player in the NFL so far through 3 weeks, has been unstoppable, leading the NFL so far in touchdown passes. The most touchdown passes through 3 weeks of any rookie in NFL history by a significant margin. He's been incredible. That's an understatement.
We always knew this was what Mahomes could do. I didn't think it was going to be in 3 straight
Tom,
games.
I'm waiting for it. It's coming.
I kind of thought it was going to be like, awesome game, what are you doing, Mahomes? Awesome game, brutal game, brutal game. Instead, it's just been, he's been really good. So can we give a lot of credit to Andy Reid here?
Yes, we can.
He's fantastic.
We can give a lot of credit, though. My one worry, that roller coaster has got to come back down at some point.
I mean, at a certain point, there has to be some level of even just regression to the mean. He's not going to throw for 69 TDs and no interceptions this year. Right?
Nice.
How awesome would that be, though?
That'd be a very nice stat line.
It would be great.
Got a big matchup coming up this weekend against the Denver Broncos. I should say on Monday Night Football, Chiefs versus Broncos. Look, Denver's always tough at home. This is probably Mahomes' second biggest test of the year so far. I don't know. Steelers at home is a little bit more difficult.
I'd say on the road against Denver.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Maybe week 1. I don't know. There have been plenty of tests from home, so I'm not worried about him getting, this is the test.
The one thing that should be worrisome, and we've mentioned this before about the Chiefs, and we'll mention it again, that defense is still quite bad.
But it's
quite
Denver.
Bad. It is. They've given up the second most points of any team in the AFC, and they're actually 3rd in the NFL in points allowed.
Sign me up for the Chiefs -4 on Monday night.
I'm actually going to go with the Broncos.
Already put some money down.
I like the Broncos.
DSI.
I like the Broncos on Monday night tough in Denver.
I put a couple of bucks down the Chiefs. I feel good about this. I know it's a road game. I know it's in Mile High. Playing early on the road in Mile High early in the year can be tough. Give me the Chiefs. And probably I'll take the over 2. I haven't thought about that one.
If you can use process of elimination, you can tell that there's only one team left that we haven't talked about. It's the Los Angeles Rams. Tom, this is the only team in my mind that could end up being some sort of legendary world beater kind of team. We sometimes will get hints of them in the beginning of the season.
That's a little early.
But that's what I'm saying. They're the only one who I think could have that kind of season. Their offense it's not like the Chiefs. The Chiefs' offense has better athletes, but it's just such a succinct unit that communicates well. They're efficient. They're smart. They audible well as well. They can also do a lot of improv. This team is just so perfectly built on offense.
They know their personnel.
Yeah.
It's 3 receivers, Todd Gurley, and a tight end.
And
That's almost all they run.
I want to point one more thing out. I understand that McVay is an offensive genius. Jared Goff, independently of McVay, has been sensational. he has been making some incredible throws. He has been great. Sure, it's easier in that system, but he's been great.
But I think McVay's had a massive impact on that because we
of course.
saw
Yes,
how
of course.
bad. I mean, I guess it's
it's Jeff Fisher.
I guess it's
Jeff Fisher.
Who's better / who's worse? Is it Sean McVay or is it Jeff Fisher? Which one had a bigger impact on golf, both negatively and positive?
No, I'll always give you, he's in probably the best situation for a young quarterback that you can be in, but I don't really remember a lot of people saying the same thing about Carson Wentz last year, who was also equally put into as good of a situation.
That's fair. I will make this on the Rams right now. They are a bit banged up at defensive back. Aqib Talib is going to miss a lot of time. Marcus Peters, who we had been told, and even the Rams have kind of hinted at, was he's going to miss a couple weeks. He's going to try to play tonight.
Wow.
On Thursday Night Football. So
that's a tough dude.
We'll see how Peters goes. They do need him out there, but that's going to be interesting because I don't know if he's actually going to be able to play or even play properly because he's got a tough matchup. The Rams need him out there because otherwise it's Sam Shields, Nikhil Roby-Coleman, and Troy Hill.
Against the Minnesota Vikings.
You really want Peters out there. The question is, how effective is he? I wouldn't be surprised if early in the game you see the Vikings take some shots and try and target Peters and test him out.
All right, let's go through our NFL power rankings one more time. Cardinals, Raiders, Texans, and the Bills. Then we got the 49ers, the Jets, the Colts, and the Giants. Cowboys, Seahawks, Lions, and the Browns. Redskins, Chargers, Titans, and the Bears as we enter the teens. Got the Broncos, the Ravens, the Falcons, and the Bengals into the top half of the NFL. The Packers, the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Patriots.
You all slandered Miami. I'm still holding that against you for at least another week.
The Vikings, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. And then into the top four, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Saints. Tom, before we move on, I ask you this question every single week. I'll ask it to you again. Which of our top four teams will not be there next week?
I was going to say the Rams, but I think even if they lose, they're still in there. So how about the Saints?
Chiefs are going to lose this week to the Broncos and drop out of the top four.
Boom.
Watch out this week. Broncos taking on the Chiefs on Monday Night Football.